Morning sunlight spilled through the guest room windows, casting warm streaks across the comforter as Nia stared awake. For a moment, she forgot where she was. The air felt different, peaceful, untouched by tension or fear. Then reality crashed over her. She sat up slowly, rubbing her temples. The events of the night before played like a reel in her mind. Malik's betrayal, Omari's embrace, the moment she finally let go. A soft knock sounded at the door. "Nia?" Omari's voice was gentle. "Are you awoke?" She smiled faintly. "I'll be out in a minute." Nia freshened up and stepped into the kitchen, where the scent of cinnamon and coffee wrapped around her. Omari stood at the stove, flipping pancakes with a quiet focus. He glanced over his shoulder. "Morning. I hope you're hungry." Nia chuckled. "You didn't have to do all of this." "Maybe not," Omari said, setting the plate on the counter. "But I wanted to." They sat in comfortable silence, the kind born of mutual respect. After a few minutes, Nia exhaled deeply. "I went through Malik's phone." Omari didn't flinch. "What did you find?" "Messages, pictures. It's been going on for months." Her voice didn't shake. "I can't believe he's expecting a child with her." Silence stretched between them. Omari's eyes darkened, his jaw tightened, but he said nothing. He didn't need to. His presence alone was enough. "I have to leave him," Nia continued, her voice resolute. "I've wasted enough time trying to hold together something that's already shattered." Omari reached across the table, his hand covering hers. "Whatever you decide, I'm here." Nia met his gaze. In his eyes, she didn't see pity or judgment, only support and something else, something deeper. "I need to start over," she whispered. "Find who I am again." Omari nodded. "And when you're ready, I'll be here to walk with you." Nia finally worked up the nerve to start filing the divorce paperwork, quietly gathering documents, closing joint accounts, and meeting with an attorney. It was surreal how quickly the unraveling of a life could take place when the decision was final. Something that once felt permanent now felt like a checklist, cold, clinical, and irreversible. Malik had called a few times, short, strained conversations about logistics, never emotions. He didn't fight her decision. That hurt more than anything. One afternoon, Nia returned to the house to collect the rest of her things. The air inside felt different, stale and empty, like even the walls were grieving. Her wedding photo still hung above the mantel, a frozen moment of joy that now felt like a lie. She stood there, staring at it for a long time. She remembered the laughter that day, how Malik couldn't stop staring at her as she walked down the aisle. She remembered believing in forever. That belief now felt like betrayal in itself. The front door creaked open. Malik. He froze in the doorway, eyes bloodshot and shoulders sagging with regret. "You're here," he said quietly. "I'm just grabbing the last of my things," Nia replied, her voice even, too even. He stepped inside, closing the door gently behind him. The silence that followed was thick. Neither of them knew how to break it without spilling everything. "Nia," he began, his voice hoarse, "I know I hurt you. I don't expect forgiveness, but I never wanted it to end this way." She turned to face him, her gaze hard but calm. "You ended it the moment you stepped outside our marriage." He winced. She wasn't supposed to get pregnant. It was never supposed to be anything serious. Nia let out a hollow laugh. "You don't get to decide how betrayal feels, Malik. You made your choices, now I'm making mine." He looked like he was searching for something, some flicker of the woman who once would have softened for him, but she was gone. I miss you," he whispered. A pause, one heartbeat, two. "You miss the idea of me," she said. "But the woman standing here now, she's done being invisible. She's done begging for scraps of love. She turned back to the photo, took it down from the mantel, and laid it face down on the table. I won't let a picture frame hold me hostage. Then she walked past him, her heels echoing down the hallway like punctuation marks on the end of a sentence she should have written long ago. The next few weeks passed like a dream, one where Nia drifted between her old life and the new reality forming around her. She stayed with Simone for a few nights after leaving Omari's to create space, to think, to breathe. She was no longer questioning her decision to file for divorce. She knew it was inevitable. But even with the decision made, peace didn't follow. Instead, a quiet bitterness began to set in. It clung to her skin, heavy and invisible, making even the smallest task feel impossible. She wasn't just mourning a marriage. She was grieving the woman she used to be, the dreams she buried, the love she gave that never felt like enough. Simone noticed a change almost immediately. Her friend's usual spark had dulled. Nia moved through the apartment like a shadow, eating only when coaxed, sleeping in short spurts, avoiding phone calls and mirrors alike. She wasn't healing, she was hiding. "You can't carry this alone, Nia," Simone said gently one night, placing a cup of chamomile tea on the nightstand beside her. "You're trying to stay strong, but strength doesn't mean suffering in silence." Nia didn't respond right away, her eyes fixed on the ceiling, unblinking. She finally whispered, "I don't even know who I am anymore. I thought if I loved him enough I could save us, but I lost myself trying." Simone sat beside her on the edge of the bed. "You didn't lose yourself, you gave yourself. There's a difference, but now it's time to find your way back." Tears welled in Nia's eyes, but she blinked them away. She had cried enough. "I think you should talk to someone," Simone continued. "A therapist, not just about Malik, but everything, the weight you're carrying. It's too heavy, Nia." That struck a chord deep in Nia's chest. Simone was right, and it scared her. "I don't want to end up bitter," Nia said, her voice breaking. "But I can feel it growing inside me. Every time I think about what he did, it eats at me. And I hate that he still has that kind of power." "That's why you need help unpacking it," Simone replied. "This isn't about Malik anymore. This is about you getting free." Nia nodded, not out of obligation, but because she was finally ready, learning to breathe again. The drive to her first therapy session felt heavier than it should have. Every red light felt like a chance to turn back. Every song on the radio, a reminder of something she'd lost. But Nia kept driving because she was tired of feeling broken. She had faced Malik, packed the last of her things, closed the chapter on a love that didn't love her back. But the ache remained, deep, hollow, and lingering in places she couldn't name. As she pulled into the parking lot of Dr. Janice Ellison's office, Nia stared at the entrance for a long moment, trying to remember how to excel. Today wasn't about closure. It was about beginning again. With no guarantees, no roadmap, just one small step towards herself. Nia sat stiffly on the edge of the couch, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. The room was warm. Soft lighting, plush cushions, and the scent of something calming in the air. But her body still felt like it was bracing for impact. Dr. Ellison offered a kind smile. "You made it. That's the hardest part for most people." Nia gave a polite nod, but didn't speak. "Would it be okay if we just talked?" the therapist asked. "Not about the past, just how are you feeling right now?" Nia looked down at her hands. Numb, then angry, then numb again. Dr. Ellison nodded. "Sometimes we cycle through emotions because we're trying to make sense of what we've been through." A silence settled between them. "I don't want to be bitter," Nia said after a long pause, "but I feel it growing in me, like a root twisting around everything. I see people in love, I roll my eyes. I hear Malik's name and I clench my jaw. What would happen if you gave yourself permission to feel that bitterness instead of fighting it?" Nia blinked, caught off guard. "I thought healing meant letting go." "Healing means telling the truth," Dr. Ellison said gently. Even the ugly parts. You can't release what you won't name. Tears welled in Nia's eyes, but she didn't wipe them away this time. I gave so much of myself to someone who didn't see me, and now that I'm free, I feel lost. Then maybe the next part of your journey isn't about finding someone else to see you, Dr. Ellison said softly. Maybe it's about you seeing you. A new beginning. About a year had passed since Nia walked away from the wreckage of her marriage. Time hadn't erased the pain, but it had transformed it. The betrayal no longer defined her. It refined her. With every legal form signed, every night spent alone learning to love herself again, she reclaimed a piece of the woman that she used to be and discovered someone new in the process. Omari had been there through it all, not as a rescuer, but as a witness. A man who didn't try to fix her, he simply stayed, showed up, let her unravel and rebuild at her own pace. They met again on a crisp autumn morning at their favorite cafe, the one with the oversized windows and honey-colored light. Nia arrived in a soft brown sweater dress, curls bouncing freely, her skin glowing in a way that only peace could bring. Omari was already seated, sipping coffee, but when he looked up and saw her, he froze. "Nia," he whispered under his breath, as if seeing her for the first time. She sat down across from him, unaware of the way the world seemed to pause around her. "Sorry I'm late," she said, brushing her hair behind her ear. "You look," he trailed off and then smiled. "You look like freedom." She laughed softly. "I feel free for the first time in a long time." He watched her intently. "So what's next, now that everything with Malik is final?" She stirred her tea, thoughtful. "I don't know exactly, but I'm not afraid of the unknown anymore. I'm open, curious, ready." Omari reached into his jacket and pulled out a small, black leather journal. "I've been writing in this every day since the night you left Malik," he said, placing it in front of her. "Not because I expected anything from you, but because I wanted you to know I saw you. All of you." She blinked in surprise. "Every entry is about something I noticed," he continued. "The way your laugh dips right before you cry. The way you hold your tea with both hands when you're in deep thought. The way you pretend to be okay, but your eyes give you away. I saw you, Nia, even when you didn't see yourself." She opened the journal slowly, her heart in her throat. His handwriting was familiar, gentle, intentional, and with every word, she felt a different kind of love pouring through, one built on presence, patience, and reverence. Tears welled in her eyes. "Why would you do this for me?" Omari reached for her hand. "Because you deserve to be written about, not just remembered." The words stole her breath. And before she could reply, Omari stood, walked to her side, and pulled her gently to her feet. The cafe faded into the background as he leaned in, not with urgency, but with certainty, and kissed her. It was slow, warm, and full of every unspoken word they hadn't dared to say. People moved around them, but for a moment the world was still. When they finally pulled apart, Nia leaned into his chest, her voice barely above a whisper. "I never thought I'd feel this way again." He smiled against her hair. "This time, you don't have to do it alone." Full circle. It's been quite some time now since Nia walked away from Malik and from the woman she used to be. In that time, she hadn't just healed, she had evolved. She built a new life, one rooted in truth, self-respect, and joy. Therapy became a part of her rhythm. She'd started her own creative business, and somewhere between quiet mornings and late-night talks, she and Omari had become a home for each other. It wasn't rushed. There were no fairy tale illusions, just real, deliberate love. They traveled, they laughed, they agreed and learned. They grew together. It was a sunny Saturday afternoon, the kind where time seemed to slow. They were at the same cafe where they'd shared the first meaningful kiss. Nia sipped her lavender tea while Omari looked at her with the quiet intensity she had come to know so well. "You ever think about how far we've come?" he asked. She smiled. "All the time." He leaned forward, pulling something small and velvet from his jacket. Nia's breath caught as he opened the box, revealing a delicate gold ring with a single, stunning diamond. Simple, elegant, and deeply her. "I've loved you patiently. I've loved you intentionally. And now I want to love you forever." He didn't get down on one knee. He didn't need to. The way he looked at her told her everything. Nia's hand flew to her mouth as tears welled in her eyes. Omari continued, voice steady. "Not because I want to complete you. You've already done that for yourself. But because I want to stand beside the woman you've become and build the rest of our lives together." She nodded, tears sliding down her cheeks, unable to hold back the joy. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, Omari. 1,000 times, yes." He slid the ring on her finger, and for a moment, the world felt weightless. This wasn't a rebound. This wasn't a rescue. This was what it felt like to be chosen, not in desperation, but in wholeness. As they embraced, Nia closed her eyes and whispered a quiet prayer of gratitude, not just for the man beside her, but for the woman she had become. She hadn't just survived heartbreak, she had risen from it, and now she was ready to love again, on her terms. The night before the wedding, Nia's journal entry. "Dear love, for a long time, I thought you abandoned me. I thought you came with pain, betrayal, and silence. I thought you looked like sacrifice without return, effort without acknowledgement, and longing without peace. But the truth is, I had to die to the version of love that broke me, so I could be reborn to the kind of love that saw me. Omari didn't save me. I saved me. But he met me on the other side of my healing and never once asked me to shrink. He loved me whole, even when I was still learning how to hold myself together. Tomorrow, I marry a man who never asked me to be perfect, just honest, just present, just real. And finally, I understand. Love was never dead. I just had to stop settling for the counterfeit version of it. I'm walking into forever with my eyes open, a full heart, and nothing to prove, just everything to feel. Nia, alive again. The soft hum of violins filled the air as the sunlight spilled through the tall windows of the garden chapel. White roses lined the aisle, simple, timeless, just like she asked. Nia stood at the back, the world around her a quiet blur. Her dress hugged her frame like it was made from grace itself. Elegant, modern, powerful. Her hair was pinned in soft curls, her makeup barely there. She didn't need anything extra. She had already done the work. The glow came from within. Simone tightened the clasp on her bracelet and whispered, "You ready?" Nia smiled, more than I ever thought I'd be. As the music shifted, the doors opened, every head turned, but Nia only saw one face, Omari. He stood at the altar, no nerves, no fear, just love. Real, steady, redeeming. Their eyes locked, and in that moment, the past didn't disappear, it transformed. Because she had walked through betrayal, buried the version of herself that begged to be loved, and rose in her own power. And as she took her first step forward, Nia knew the truth deep in her soul. She was never dead to love. She just hadn't met the kind that knew how to live. For more stories like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Let us know your favorite part of the story in the comments. What would you have done?